All right, now we're gonna check for valve travel, so we make sure we have enough spring travel for our camshaft we want to run. I think the cam's about 570, close to the 600, so a little under 600 though. So we're gonna keep it around 570. We'll see how much travel we got. Already checked the exhaust; it was pretty good, but I just got the dial indicator set up on the chuck on the drill, and the dial indicator's on the head there. And we won't set it on 0. We'll just count how many times the needle goes around, and shouldn't have to be worrying about the little stuff on this. So we're right about at where the spring starts to travel here. Try to set this close to 0. There we go. Now you count how many times this goes around. You want about 60 thousandths, 80 thousandths if you're the nervous type on coil bind. So that means the bottom spring, before it touches the last coil, you should have about 60 to 80 thousandths there. So let's see what we got. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 650. So we could go 600 and have 650. And there's no coil bind. What we're running into here is the retainers hitting the top of the guide. So the spring's still not coil bind at 650 lift, but we're probably can only run about 590 safely with these heads, you know, to give us the proper clearance between the retainer and the guide. So we can go with a K8, K10, something like that. I'll check the cam book now and see where we're at as far as, you know, profiles and stuff where we'd be safe. But that's pretty decent out of the box. You can get in the high 500s. So that's where you need to be if you want to make decent power, you know, 600 lift, 500s, somewhere in there. So that ought to work out pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Got nice clearance between the guide and the retainer. You could pick up a little more if I just change the retainers out, but I think that'll be good for what we want to do. So I don't want to make it too crazy for the average guy out there that buys it, you know. So probably keep it around 550, 570 lift. I'd like to go with a K7, but I think that might be too small for this motor. I was going to show the carburetor. Somebody wanted to see the carbs, so I got those out, and I'm going to get you set up here. These are the carbs I like to use. I'll either use a K-Drone or a 48 IDA. There's no in between for me. So I don't really see any sense in it. These are excellent carburetors. A lot of people will tell you you can't run these on the street, but this is more of a street carburetor than any IDF or any other carburetor you can get. These carburetors are super sweet, super tunable. You can go from a 37 millimeter Venturi up to you know, 42. Some of the guys bore these out and make them 51 millimeters. They run super smooth. When I was a kid, 48 IDAs were like a passage. You know, when you got those, you were the shit. And I remember getting my set. I had a 1776, and it ran 1308, and I'd drive that thing everywhere. I-4, you know, all over the town. Ended up taking that motor out and putting it in my 72 that I had bought, and drove it to North Carolina to visit my parents up there. And I stopped at every Volkswagen shop and did a big burnout leaving. And I had my IDAs on there, and I made a trip across country, and I think I was getting about 28 miles to the gallon on the highway with these bad boys. So they're quite expensive, but they're worth the money. Nothing sounds like a 48, and there's just no substitute. The other carburetors you can definitely make really smooth, and if you're gonna, you know, not want a lot of power and keep the RPMs very low, then those carburetors are fine. But these carburetors will operate in low RPM band or the high band. They're very tunable. The jet stacks are accessible. They're on the top here. You know, the idle screws are sometimes difficult to get to depending on how tight the body is in there, but they're not too bad. So they're very adjustable, and I think this is the way to go. I know Impy makes a version of the 48 now that's pretty affordable, about 900 bucks. These are Redline Webers. You know, I went with the better quality ones. I've had really good luck with these before in the past, and yeah, so that's what we're gonna put on that motor. They're brand new. Got the tall manifolds. These look like old scat manifolds that somebody's machined the name off of. But I have to do a little more port work now on these because the head we're using is quite a bit bigger than what we were gonna use. So it should be a pretty good setup, and yeah, we'll at least start this one up. And like I said, I don't expect that anybody's going to buy this motor, but they just might. And if they don't, we'll put it in the car and test it. I was thinking I could always throw it in the race car and give it a spin, you know. That way I wouldn't have to worry about breaking the tranny or killing my blue car by going out to the track and got crazy. So we could throw her in there and see what she'd do. You know, it's got a pretty much a street box in it. It's actually got a 344 ring and pinion with a long first, and so it's pretty much a street box for sure. You could take that box out and pop it right in my blue car, and it would be a dream. But I'm not ready to do that yet. So still trying to sell that baby all in one piece. But if I have to, I will strip it. So we're gonna put the bell housing on the old Nissan transmission. Getting some stuff moved around here this morning. Still too humid to paint. I did some seam sealer work last night, and it hadn't quite kicked off enough for me to be comfortable with coating it this morning, so I'll let that dry. But the clouds are gone. Definitely a John Kerry day today for sure. So I hope everybody's having a good one. And yeah, I'm walking around with a camera stand because my camera's stuck on the stand. So I hate it when that happens. I can't get it off of there. So yeah. So this video looks a little weird or bouncy. That's why. So there we go. We got 650 lift till the retainer hit the valve guide, and no coil bind. Had at least 80 thousandths there. So we could change the retainer. Probably go you know, a little more on the lift, but 600's about all I ever run. So they're a pretty decent set of heads. They come right out of the box ready for a pretty big cam, and if you were going to run like a 120 or a 130 or something like that, you'd never have an issue. You know, we're running a high lift cam in here. We're running probably a K8, K10, K46, something, I don't know. What I mean by high lifts, I mean that the rocker arm has part of the duty of getting the total valve lift, and the cam has a little less aggressive pattern on it because it shares the lift with the rocker arms. Instead of being a 1-to-1 rocker, it's a 1.5 rocker. So you get some of the lift out of the rocker arm and some out of the cam, and it makes it a little easier, a little sweeter on the valve train. So a little more expensive to do it that way, but a little better in the end, I think. You know, they used to have the 110s and the 120s, and those were real popular. And as the rocker arms got better, the high lift cams got more desirable, and that's sort of where the later technology goes into, you know, the high lift grinds. You'll see that there's a lot more available and a lot different profiles in those type of cams. So, all right, guys, let me get this shut down, get my camera off the stand here. We'll go upload this for you guys. And yeah, it's early still. Everybody's still sleeping. But gonna try to get some help today from my son. He didn't come out of his room yesterday. But I need to get this pan built for the 64. So I need to get this transmission reinstalled and the front end over there cleaned up, put back in. And I need to get the transmission on in the Titone. So he wants me to do a quick all over on his Mustang out here. And he got really pissed off when I told him I need to get some of this other stuff out of here. They just don't realize how it works, you know. That's well, I never get to work on any of my stuff. But anyway, this thing's really rough, and I don't know if there's a quick paint job you could do to this thing. So he came out and started sanding it with some 320 the other day, and was gonna, you know, throw some Bondo on it. But it's got some serious rust issues down there, and the frame rails are all gone, and I just hate doing anything to this car. But he doesn't really want to work on the one in the backyard. He likes this one. So we might have to get this in and do some sort of a scuff and shoot is what he wants. I really didn't want to do that kind on my son's car, but you know, they can be pretty demanding sometimes. And yeah, they want what they want when they want it, you know. So that's where we're at with this. I might have to, and he doesn't want to get out of it, of course, you know. It's got to be on the weekend, all 2-day job type of deal. So anyway, that's what's happening here. And no Hemi parts, getting those in the morning. I am going to put the rod and the piston back in there today, and get the pan and the suspension buttoned up so I can roll that baby around. I did start the body work on it. I got the one side pretty much done, and I got the roof, the hood, and the other side, and we'll be ready to spray that bad boy. All right, let me shut this off. Sort of babbling now, and we'll talk to you guys later, and have a great one.